this is Sean. Welcome to Guitar Reference Guide. Today's lesson I'm going to be taking you through the classic Chitlins Con Carne by the great Kenny Burrell. This is a 12-bar blues in C. Chords are going to be C7 sharp 9, F7, and G7. I'm going to show you how to play the head in the lower octave and the higher octave. I'm going to have tabs on the screen that's going to help you get through the melody pretty quickly, and then we're going to dive into the main topic of today's lesson. Will be improvising over these chords while maintaining a sense of rhythmic integrity by playing chords and single note lines at the same time, kind of like you heard in the intro, playing a line, playing a chord, and the correct corresponding chord. So then when you're on the F, you're going to hit the F chord, etc. So keeping track of the changes as they're going by is a really important part of this. I'm going to take you through pentatonic scales doing this, the blues scale. We're going to be also going through chord tones, mixolydian scales, melodic minor scales. Not going to go too much further than that. I'm also going to discuss some other ideas that are going to help you get outside a little bit, teach you how to use chromatic lines, and that basically sums up the lesson. I created a jam track that's just very simple. It's bass and drums, but this is going to give you a lot of space if you want to just practice your comping. That's great for that, but it's going to work perfect if you're using the concepts we talk about, hitting a chord, hitting a single note line. Jam track and the PDF will be the link below. If you click that, it'll take you to my website. If you like what you see in this video, please subscribe, and we have a lot to do, so let's dig in. Thanks for checking out my video, and have a great day. Okay, we're going to start with the head, and it's going to go something like this. Before we get into that, this is all based on the C minor pentatonic scale, and that's going to look something like this. So phrase number one is going to go like this. It starts on the second beat of the measure, so it's going to go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and there's my first phrase. So here we're starting on the C, pluck that twice, going to the minor third on the first fret of the D, back to the C, flatten down to the F note, back to the C. Now I'm going to do a grace note. I'm going to slide from 3 to 5 on the D string, back to the C note, back to the E flat note. Then I strike the E7 sharp 9, which is going to be third fret, second fret, third fret, and fourth fret. It's E7 sharp 9. So even though this is a dominant chord, it's got that sharp 9 in it, which is your minor third, and that's why this melody works so well over it. And that will be phrase number one. Phrase number two builds on that same concept, coming in on the second beat, 1. So we're playing almost the same thing. C, C, to the E flat minor third, back to the C, back to the F, and then we're going to stop on the C. And then we have a rest, and then we're going to play the C7 sharp 9 again. This time twice. It's phrase 2. Now we're going to do the same phrase that we started with, but then we're going to go to the F7 chord. And here I'm playing third fret, second fret, and fourth fret, and there's my F7 chord. And then back to that same second phrase we did when we started. Back to the C7 sharp 9. And then here's this next phrase, we're going to have a variation. I'm going to come back to the E flat, so this phrase is going to sound like this. C, C, E flat, C, back to the F, and then to the E flat. So that phrase starts like this. 1. And then I'm going to move up to the fourth fret, and I'm going to slide from 4 to 5, and then to the third fret of the G string. And then right after I hit the flat 7 there, I'm going to go from I'm going to slide from 3 to 4 and back, and that's the next phrase. That will sound something like this. And then we come back to the same phrase, the second phrase we started with. So one more time, I'm going to play through that whole thing and then move to the next octave. Okay, now for the second octave, it's all going to be the same thing, just an octave higher. So this is all based on the C minor pentatonic scale, starting at the 8th fret, 8, 11, 8, 10, 8, 10, 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 11. Now here we're going to start on the 10th fret of the D string, and it's going to sound something like this. Phrase number 1. So here we have the same intervals. I'm playing the 10th fret, which is my 1, minor 3rd, which is my E flat, back to my C, flat and back down to the F note, 4th, back up to the C. Then I'm going to do the grace note slide from 10 to 12, back to the C at the 10th fret, and then I end the phrase on the E flat. Now I hit the E7 sharp, the C7 sharp 9 like this. Killer chord. Here I'm playing 7th fret, 8th fret, 8th fret, 8th fret, and 8th fret. And then the next phrase, and then I hit the C7 sharp 9 again. And then same phrase, still come in on the second beat. It's all the same, just an octave higher. Now I hit the F9 chord, which is going to be, I'm playing the 8th fret, 7th fret, 8, 8, and 8. And then back to this phrase. Back to the C7 sharp 9. Then sometimes I come up here. And the C7 sharp 9 would look like this. We have 10, 9, 11, and 11. And then we have the last phrase of this section. So here, it starts the same way, playing the C, 10th fret, back to the C, back to the F, back to the C. Now I move up to the 11th fret, slide to the 12th fret, play to the 11th fret on the B string. Now I'm going to slide from the 10th fret to the 11th fret on the G string and back. And then the last phrase, very last phrase. And then I'm back to the C7 sharp 9. And that will be playing it an octave higher. I'm going to play through the whole thing now, an octave higher, really slow. F9. And that would be the second octave for the head. Okay, now the next thing we're going to talk about is improvising, and this is going to be the main focus of the lesson. Now, accompany yourself while playing single note lines is something that is really great because you don't need a backing track. You're keeping track of the changes as they're moving, and it's something that can always evolve. This is the perfect tune to start it with because you only have 3 chords. We're doing a 12-bar blues in C. So you can get it sophisticated or you can make it as simple as you want, and it still has a really full sound because you're covering both the chords and the single note lines. So we're going to start with the pentatonic scales. Now, I'm sure you know by now the C minor pentatonic scale. Within this scale, I'm going to want you to target your C's, know where all your C notes are, know where all your F notes are, and know where your G notes are. We're just going to stay in this position to keep this simple so we can move through one topic at a time, but I'm going to want you to also learn how to play this in different parts of the neck. So starting with the C minor pentatonic scale, we have to match it up with the chords. So the first chord I was playing was the C7 sharp 9 like this. Now this chord works great, but you could also just play part of it, and that will also work. Or you could just play a regular C7, the C7 sharp 9, or a regular C7 will also work fantastic. So first thing, we have pentatonic scale, our target notes, and we have our chords. C7 sharp 9, regular C7, your F9, or your F7, just these 3 notes work really well. Your 1, your 3, and your 7, and your G7 or your G9. So for right now, those are the 3 main chords we're going to use. Okay, so now that we have our chords and our scale, what we're going to do is we're going to alternate between playing chords and single note lines. We're going to play a chord, then we're going to play a single note line. And to keep track of this, we're going to keep the same kind of rhythm with the chord, and we're going to start with quarter notes for the single note lines. You're going to count, and that's going to help you keep track of where you are in the progression. When you start playing different rhythms and different lines, it's easy to get lost and not know where the 1 is when the change happens. So the rhythm we're going to do is going to sound something like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. That's going to be the rhythm. So we're going to start with a chord and go to a line. Here I'm playing my C7 sharp 9. Rhythm here is going to be 1, 2. I'm just lightly hitting the strings to give it some syncopated rhythmic sound. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then I'm going to do a line, quarter notes. I do the pentatonic scale, targeting all those notes as we're moving by. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Starting on the C. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Now we're on the F. Now we start on the F note. 1, 2, 3, 4 chord. Start on the C note. 1, 2, 3, 4 chord on the G. Single note on the F. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the C. Single note line starting from C. Okay, so I just played a 9 chord there. That works really well. That's a C9 chord. That will also work in place of the C7 sharp 9, and that is be playing 7, 8, 7, and 8. Looks kind of like that. So that would also work really well over the C. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to make it a little more sophisticated. We're going to use the blues scale, and we're going to use eighth notes instead of quarter notes. So that the blues scale is going to be like this. We have our C, our E flat, our F sharp, our G flat, and our G. So we're adding this flat 5 to it. There it is right there. And so we're going to play eighth notes now. So I'm going to do the rhythm, and then I'm going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. From the F. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to play the minor third to major third relationship. We're going to use eighth notes, and we're going to use the same rhythmic pattern, same chords. And this is a really cool concept. It works great. So over the C chord, instead of playing the minor third, I'm going to be playing minor 3, to major 3, and then I'm going to target the 1. And that's going to sound something like this. Or, so anywhere you see this note, E flat to E to C, E flat to E to C, I want you to target all of those notes in this position. Then looking at the F, we're going to have to figure that out, because when we get to the F, we're going to do the same thing. Still playing the pentatonic scale, but over the F, we're going to be adding the A flat to the A to the F. A flat to A to F. There's my minor third to major third relationship. A flat to A to F. And then move up a whole step, and then you're going to have your G. We're still playing pentatonics. And for the G, it's going to be B flat to B to G. So B flat to B to G. B flat to B to G. And still playing all the pentatonic scales around that. You're going to hear that that one little thing really helps imply the chord. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. And that was using the minor third to major third relationship. Next thing we're going to look at is going to be arpeggios. So arpeggio for the C would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, and 3. It's going to be the same intervals for the F, but it's going to, instead of starting from here, we're going to start obviously from F. Here's my 1, here's my 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. And then to keep this simple, instead of doing the arpeggio here for the G, that would be a whole new shape. I'm going to want you to move up and do the same one that you did for the F. So we have two of the same shape, and that makes this a little bit easier. So now, instead of just playing, we're going to go a little deeper into rhythm. Instead of just playing quarter notes and eighth notes, I'm going to ad lib, and I'm going to play some different rhythms, try and keep track of where the time is, so when it comes time for me to play the chord, I'm on the 1. So this is where it gets a little bit more difficult, but it takes practice, and you'll start hearing it. And this is when we really start making music, and it doesn't sound as mechanical. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Play all arpeggios. Okay, now that we've done the arpeggios, we're going to move to mixolydian scales. Mixolydian scale for C is going to look like this. If I kept going, there's my 2, there's my 3. Mixolydian scale for F. Now here we have to change with each chord, so each scale is going to be different for each chord. And we're going to do the same thing with the G. We're just going to move up 2 frets, and it's going to be the same as the mixolydian scale over and out. Now, the mixolydian scale, as you can see, it's basically a major scale with a flatted 7th. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. You flatten the 7th, and that gives you your mixolydian scale. So if you know your major scales really well, all you do is flatten the 7th, and that gives you your mixolydian scale, and that's the scale you want to use for the dominant 7 chord. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Mixolydian. and that will be my mixolydian scales. Okay, so now we're going to discuss the melodic minor scale. We're going to be using predominantly the 7th mode of the melodic minor scale, which is known as your altered dominant scale. This scale is perfect for any time you have a dominant chord with a flat 9 in it, sharp 9, flat 5, or sharp 5. Now, over the first chord, we're playing the C7 sharp 9 chord. We have a 1, a 3, a 5, a flat 7, and a sharp 9. Now, the sharp 9 is the same as a minor third. So if you look at this scale, it covers all those main tonalities. We have 1. Now, there isn't a flat 9 in the chord, but there's a sharp 9, there's the sharp 9. There's my major third, and there's a major third. Flat 5, no flat 5 in the chord, no sharp 5 in the chord, but there's a flat 7 in the chord. So as you can tell, this scale covers all those main tonal centers of that chord. And it's also very useful if you're playing through any of those chords I mentioned before. So this is a great scale to know because you could use it for so many different things. So what I'm going to do is just vamp, and I'm going to play through the altered dominant scale, which is the same as a C sharp or D flat melodic minor scale. It's the 7th mode. So if you moved up a half step from C and you just played a standard melodic minor scale, that's it. So it's essentially your C sharp melodic minor scale. Starting from the C, and you move up that half step, that turns it into the altered dominant scale, which is the 7th mode of that harmony. So here we go. 1, 2, a 1, 2, ready, play. Melodic minor scale is a natural minor scale with a raised 6th and 7th. It would look like this. There's my raised 6th, my raised 7th, and then I'm back. It's also just like playing a C major scale with a minor third. Now, over this chord, this sounds extremely hip. Works great. Because for this chord here, this would be my 3. There's my flat 7. There's my sharp 9. There's my 5. There's my 1. So if I play this scale, there's my minor third or my sharp 9. There's my 4. There's my 5. There's my raised 6. And there's my raised 7. So if I went like this, but for right now, to keep it simple, let's just keep the melodic minor scale in play over the 1 chord. Over the 4 chord and the 5 chord, we can do any of the things we did earlier, the pentatonics or whatever. So that's going to look like this, the full scale, full melodic minor scale. So now using the melodic minor scale, we're only going to do that over the 1 chord. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, so now that was using the melodic minor scale. Now another scale that I think works really well is using the Lydian Flat 7 scale. The Lydian Flat 7 scale looks something like this. I'm playing 1, 2, major 3. Here I'm playing a sharp 4, flat 5. Playing 5. Here's my 6. Here's my flat 7. That's why it works so well. and then there's my 1. Now this sounds really hip. This flat 5 really sounds cool. Take a listen to this. Lydian Flat 7. Now if I play F Lydian Flat 7. Lydian Flat 7. Lydian Flat 7 over F. Lydian Flat 7 over the C. So as you can tell, that also has a really colorful, very cool sound to it. Now everything I'm talking about, these are kind of, they sound like rules, but they're really not. All the notes work. So the main thing is to use your ear and try and let your ear guide you to what you like. Well, you know, everybody has a different ear and everybody hears things differently. So in addition to all this stuff, using chromatic notes, filling the notes in between the scales works really well. And you're going to get a little more tension here, but then if you come back, you're going to resolve everything and it's going to sound cool. To give you an example, straight chromatic line. Not as chromatic. Chromatic line here. So as you can tell, there's a lot of tension there, tension release, and then I ended on the C, and that kind of brought us home. So feel free to experiment with all the notes that are not in the scales and just see how they sound. Everything can work as long as you have intention and it's melodic. One of the things that sounds most exciting is when you have tension and it comes back. So feel free to also experiment with the chromatic notes that are not in the harmony of any of the chords. And your ears will all of a sudden open up to a lot of really cool stuff. So I hope you like this video. If you like what you see in this video, please check out, I have a lot of other videos on YouTube. Really appreciate the support and hope everyone has a great day.